Good afternoon, St. Louis, Missouri, Indianapolis, Indiana, Topeka, Kansas, Vicksburg, Mississippi, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Charlotte, North Carolina, Memphis, Tennessee, Baltimore, Maryland, Nashville, Tennessee, New York, Detroit, Michigan, Hampton, Virginia, New Jersey, Chicago, Illinois, and Kansas, City, Missouri, home of the Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs. Welcome to lunch with the Missouri Team Conference for April the 15th, 2023. My name is Alan Fox, your host and creator of the other Out Louds. How you doing there, Rip?
Fine.
And how's the family doing, brother?
Fine.
That's a good thing on a beautiful day. And Brother Scott, how you doing today?
I'm once again too blessed to be distressed.
And I know why you said that you got your bike, well, your transportation back last night.
I did get my transportation back, and I am blessed for that. You betcha.
Okay, and also the wife is getting close to their graduation time.
Well, she's only within 3 weeks.
So, yeah, first we count a long time. We count months, and now we're down to weeks. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Well, that's all the good thing here, and also we joined by Chuck DeBoer here later on in the program. We are broadcasting live on Ferguson, USA, HotTalkRadio.com from beautiful North County in with the terrace in North St. Louis City, the Reverend Out Loud, and from Arnold, Missouri. Thank you for allowing the Missouri Team Conference to be a part of your weekend for all 8 years now. And we just thank you for letting us be a part on Ferguson, USA, HotTalkRadio.com. And right now we're going to have prayer with Out Loud, the pastor. The Walnut Farm. Downtown Houston located 5547 Middle Avenue, that's in North St. Louis. 63120, that's at House of the Walnut Farm, downtown Houston, the Elder Lounge. And he will be, that's located at 5547 Middle Avenue, that's in North St. Louis, that's 63120. And there's what you do, will be that. On the other Elder Lounge is the pastor of Walnut Farm. About Chapel Church located at 5547 on the Avenue. Real, how you doing today, sir?
Fine.
What you get?
Just down here.
Yes, sir.
Heavenly Father, continue to thank you for waking us up this morning. Thank you for a wonderful gospel, how that Christ died for our sin, was buried, and rose again. By continue believing to the saving of the soul, continue to make heaven your home before you sleep and after you sleep. Heavenly Father, I should bless the sick all over the universe. You know what to do. And Heavenly Father, we ask that we might have a wonderful fellowship with you today in your most darling Son. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Thank you, real. Thank you, real. Thank you, sir. So what you got for us this week, sir?
I'm just going to another lesson about faith. I'm going to talk on faith today.
Okay, that's something we all need, faith.
So I analyzed the word faith. I said the F means Father. Who is the Father of faith but Jesus Christ and God?
Mm-hmm.
The A, that he's able. The I for he's infinite.
Mm-hmm.
The T for trust. And the H for heavenly.
Mm-hmm.
And there you is. And that's what you got to keep in memory at all time is faith.
Mm-hmm.
And that's his death, burial, resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
Now the word faith is allegiance to duty or a person, a loyalty or fidelity to one's promises, sincerity of intentions, belief and trust in and loyal to God, belief in the traditional doctrine of a religion, firm belief in something that is believed with strong conviction, a system of religious beliefs, belief in faith without doubt or question, verily, verily, in truth and certainly true, confidentially. Let's look at John, the 6th chapter of John. Go to the 6th chapter of John.
Mm-hmm.
The 6th chapter.
Yes, sir.
And it's 71 verses in here. The whole chapter is what you can read. Y'all can read all your time. But I'm only just gonna skip around and read certain meanings in the word.
Okay.
John 1 and John the 6th chapter and verse 1. It says, after these things, Jesus went over the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias. And a great multitude followed him, because they saw his miracles, which he did on them that were diseased. And Jesus went up in a mountain, and there he sat with his disciples. And the Passover, a feast of the Jews, was nigh. So I'm gonna stop with that right there, and I'm gonna go over here to verse 32. Verse 32 said, "Verily, verily." Remember, we're talking about faith now. It said, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, Moses gave you not that bread from heaven, but my Father give you the true bread from heaven." And that true bread that it's talking about right here, it's talking about Jesus Christ is the true bread that came down from heaven, not the bread that they was eating in the wilderness, that the Israelites was eating in the wilderness when they broke bread and God gave it to them. He fed them every day with the bread of life. That way, but the bread really is talking about Jesus Christ. Just like this day and time, we have to believe the gospel by faith, because we haven't seen nothing. That's why we have to believe. So seeing is not faith, but you believe by faith.
Yes, sir.
And it goes to say, "For the bread of God is he which come down from heaven and giveth life unto the world." You know, the Israelites, they was blessed. They were chosen by God. And they were Jehovah. The Israelites is Jehovah's wife. Most people don't know that God had a wife. So that's who the Israelites is. That's why they was chosen. And it said, "Then they say unto him, Lord, evermore give us this bread." And Jesus said unto them, "I am the bread of life. He that cometh to me should never hunger, and he that believeth on me should never thirst. But I say unto you that ye also have seen me and believe not. All that the Father give me should come to me, and him that cometh to me I will in no wise cast out. For I came down from heaven, and not to do my own will, but the will of him that sent me. And this is the will of which hath sent me, that all which he had given me I should lose nothing, but should raise it up again at the last day. And this is the will of him that sent me, that everyone which seeth the Son and believeth on him may have everlasting life, and will raise him up at the last days." See, it's all about faith. Is believing in Jesus Christ. If you don't have faith, you're dead. You can't do nothing if you don't have no kind of faith. You can't do nothing. But with faith in Christ Jesus, you can do all things in Christ who strengthens you. Okay, I'm gonna drop down here to 44. "No man can come to me except the Father which has sent me draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day." See, this right here is telling you that you don't get saved on your own. You get saved by believing the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Then the Holy Spirit convicts your spirit to let you know that you're saved and you believe it. So it's God saving you, not you saving yourself. It is written in the prophets, and they should be all taught to God, every man, therefore that had heard and had learned of the Father, cometh unto me. Not that any man had seen the Father, save he which is of God. He has seen the Father. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me hath everlasting life. I am that bread of life. Your fathers did eat manna in the wilderness and are dead. This is the bread which cometh down from heaven, that a man may eat thereof and not die. I am the living bread, which came down from heaven. If any man eat of this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread of that I will give is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world. Jesus here talking about when we believe the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, we are moved into another perspective of what's going on in the world. The Spirit of God moves us into the body of Christ before anything. Just like that's why you have to believe the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ before you go down in the water. Mm-hmm. Most people believe after they go in the water. They think the water don't even wash away blood. The water can't save. But the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ is what saves you. Amen. And it's going to say, the Jews therefore strove among themselves, saying, how can this man give us his flesh to eat? See, they foolish. They acting foolish right there, asking the question. Just shut up and listen. But the first thing you have to do in your beginning with God is the fear of wisdom and knowledge. So you have to listen before you can understand and get the meaning of what's going on. You have to listen and hear. Then he convicts your spirit when he see that you are accepting what he's saying. Mm-hmm. Then Jesus said unto them, verily, verily, I say unto you, except ye eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, ye have no life in you. And he right, but when you come in the world, you dead in trespasses and sin. That's why you have to believe Christ died for your sin, was buried and rose again. Then you pass from death unto life before you sleep and after you sleep. Whosoever eateth my flesh and drinketh my blood hath eternal life, and I will raise him up at the last day. For my flesh is meat indeed, and my blood is drink indeed. He that eateth my flesh and drinketh my blood dwelleth in me, and I in him. As the living Father hath sent me, and I live by the Father, so he that eateth me, even he shall live by me. This is that bread which came down from heaven, not as your fathers did eat manna, and are dead. He that eateth on this bread shall live forever. It is the spirit that quickens. The flesh profit nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. But there are some of you that believe not. Right now, while I'm reading this, it's the same thing right now, all over this universe. For Jesus knew from the beginning who they were that believed not. I don't have that insight like Jesus have. But I know if you believe the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, you'll go to heaven. I'm going to guarantee you go to heaven, then you can say another word coming out your mouth, but you don't know if that's going to happen.
Amen to that.
And he said, therefore, said I unto you, that no man can come unto me except it were given unto him of my Father. And I'm going to stop at this last verse, 70. Jesus answered them, have not I chosen you 12, and one of you is a devil? See, you know, one of them was a devil. There's always a devil around you people out here. The devil always around looking to start chaos to keep the things of God from going smooth. But he can't do it. It's impossible for him to stop God's plan, because he's defeated. And he's been defeated over 2,023 years ago. That's why you believe the death, burial, resurrection. Today, you saved forever, and you could never be lost. And thank God for that in Jesus' most precious name. Amen.
So, you know, real one of the things that just said there, and people should understand that every day, you know, from the days that when they were in the wilderness, they had faith that they would have food the next day. They went to bed at night. They had no doubt that God was going to put something in front of their house or their tent the next day for them to eat. Amen. No doubt they're going to have some water to drink to wash it down. You know, and the other part about that was, okay, that the weather was, nice. They didn't have no snow and all that other stuff they have to deal with. As a matter of fact, you know, people not aware of it, but in the Bible, the rain was something new to those people. And when it came down, with Noah, because it didn't get rain every day. You know, that wasn't something that was common to people back in those days. You know, the rain showers and stuff.
Well, what I like about it, God, he never left them either. Just like he would never leave you nor forsake you, he didn't ever leave the Israelites. They left him. He didn't leave them.
Yeah,
and that's because they were in sin. And then when you're in sin, your mind is blind to the truth of God. When you're in sin, in trespasses and sin, you blind to the mind and the ability what God has given you, and you ain't got enough sense to even realize, because you are depending on the fleshly mind, which is enmity against God.
Yeah, well, that thing they called common sense, okay, that sometimes, they use the word common, but, it doesn't, he didn't hear about it equally. But again, he said that, everybody got food. He said the rich got food, the poor got food, everybody got food every morning.
Yes, sir.
And like you just said, Rev, the Israelites were stiff naked, even to today, okay?
Yeah, they hard-headed. Stiff-necked, like everybody is today is stiff-necked, hard-headed. Because they wasn't. They need to be born again. That's why the gospel must be preached. So to get these people saved before it's ever too late.
Yeah.
That's why you got to keep it in remembrance. Keep in remembrance what I preached unto you, unless you have believed in vain. That's the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Keep that in remembrance, folks. All over the universe, keep that in remembrance. That's what's going to get you to heaven. Because heaven is my home.
Yeah, and you got to have faith that you're going to get there. You can't go through life and, am I going to make it? I might make it. Yes, and I'm going to be there.
But I can tell them, I'm already seated in the heavenly places in Christ Jesus, because I know it is true, and that's what the Word said, and I believe the Word.
Yeah, and with the Word, you get peace of mind. That's important for it.
Yes, sir.
That is important for it. Well, anyway, that's our elder. I call him Pastor Elder Lyles of the Walnut Point Baptist Chapel Church. That's in North St. Louis, 63120 zip code. And also, we want to thank you for those beautiful words about faith. One of the things that we all need faith. Matter of fact, when I broke my neck years ago, I had faith, okay, that I was going to be okay.
Amen.
And no doubt that I'm going to be okay. I used to say, oh, Lord, am I going to make it? No. I said, I'm going to be okay. Anyway, you listen to Ferguson USA, HotTalkRadio.com. We celebrate matter of fact, we're going into our 8th year on a Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. And we want to thank Scott, our youth engineer, and his family. And also, we want to thank all you who join us. Again, that's Ferguson USA, HotTalkRadio.com. Life's good. Let's get it out of here. Welcome back to Lunch with Lecture Commercial. Beautiful Saturday afternoon in St. Louis. Well, this has been one of those days where we have had sunshine, we have had rain, thunder, and lightning, and now we have another dry day so far, and we think there's more rain coming. And let's say the difference here in St. Louis, we get all types of weather guaranteed to us, all the time. But anyway, one of the other things that's guaranteed every year on this day is called tax day. That's when the IRS and the state revenue okay, say that you got to send in your income tax, all your income tax. You got to file it one way or another. But right now, we're going to let all listeners around the world. Well, I'm not sure in some countries, how that may work out, but I know in our country, this is a day you can either get in trouble or get out of trouble. And one thing for sure, if you're in a faith, they all watching you in some kind of way, all right, Red?
Yeah.
And also, this day, 75 years ago, baseball history was made when the late Jackie Robinson, who also died at an early age, had said that he was going to play in Major League Baseball. He was going to play baseball. And so he was able to do that 75 years ago. He stepped on the field in Brooklyn, New York. In those days, the Dodgers were the Brooklyn Dodgers. And so he was able to, go to the Dodgers. And then that allowed the barrier for colored people, not just blacks, to get into the baseball. Rather than just all white guys playing baseball. That was all you had in the league. And but since that time, you got Latinos, you got blacks, and now right now, blacks, the numbers or ratio of black players right now are not what they used to be. And you say, why is that? Well, for one, most sports nowadays, you got football, blacks are playing football. And if we must dominate football, most of your top quarterbacks in the NFL football, they're black now. Then they also, they can play basketball. But I got to tell you, the NBA play all sorts this weekend. And, and also we just finished up with the NCAA basketball tournament. And on most teams, they would dominate by most have a young black men, okay? And so also the same thing in basketball for the young girls, young ladies. Get back, make sure you get through all that respect. But also, just thank Jack Robinson and his family and being a dreamer, a man with faith. He could do it, and he did it. And that should be a lesson to all of us. Put your mind to it. But also, what he had to do, was train, and be prepared. One of the things about life is, you gotta have faith, but also you gotta prepare yourself and believe every day, that you're gonna accomplish what you set out to get done. That's a very important thing about whatever you're gonna do. You gotta say, I can do it. And you gotta have faith in yourself. And God, he always said, if you take the first step, okay, like it was with Peter, when he walked on water, Peter was doing good, okay, so Peter lost track. He looked around, and guess what? He went down. But anyway, that's right now. Thank you everyone for something else for your weekend. And God, this has been a crazy, every week, when I do the show the night before, I think about this. It's been a crazy, this past week has been one of those weeks, okay? There's so much that's going on that is just unbelievable. It all took place in 1 week, and we look back on the week right now. In this past week, one of the hot spots in our country was in Nashville, Tennessee. But for you people not aware, you may have forgotten things move so fast. A couple weeks ago, down in Nashville, Tennessee, a private school called Public School, where there were 3 young girls who were killed. By the way, in this Nashville, it was a white school, private school. And in that school, a young lady came in with a weapon of destruction, but I call them, you call them, the way you want to call them, AK-47, but a high-power rifle. And she came in, and also she was a former student of the school. But she came in, and what she did, she kind of came in, and first she did was kill the superintendent or the principal of the school. Then she killed, 3 young people at the age of 9. So it bothers me here that they have bothered nobody. So anyway, that's just the stages, okay? So Nashville also is the capital of Tennessee. And so there in our story goes, they had demonstrations. And in there you had 2 young black men, young black guys, I think very young. And you also had one white lady, who led the protest at the state capitol, which was all. And by the way, most of the names of these kids that were protesting, they weren't just kids, they were known as white kids, okay, they were protesting there. And so these 3 people, okay, became what the Nashville 3. For a while there, the state council, state board of House of Representatives, and decided they were unhappy that they were protesting inside the chamber. Well, you can understand, but you can't understand it. But they were not in session when all this took place. But anyway, what happened here is that they decided that they were going to make them pay, their lesson, for something they didn't agree with. And in this body, the House of Representatives, every state has a House of Representatives, in your state, wherever you are, you have a House of Representatives. And also you have a state bill also. But in this case, House of Representatives in Texas is Republican proof. Matter of fact, it's veto proof. They have a majority of all the seats in the chamber. And that means that they control whatever they want to do. That's what they do. And so in this case, the House of Representatives Speaker decided that he wanted to expel these 3 individuals. For leading the protest, which is surely inside the chamber. And so what happened here is that they decided they were going to have a vote, and they were going to, go to the state and vote to put them out. But as life would have it, the first gentleman, Mr. Jones, from Nashville, he was expelled, banned, what you want to call it, or kicked out, what you want to call it, and then also. The next vote was for the gentleman. It was also from Memphis, Tennessee, which is another black, vast enough of black voters, the Democrats. And so they voted to kick him out. Then it came time for the vote to kick the white young lady out. And they had, in the House of Representatives, they had 75 Democrats, Republicans, 75 Republicans. And you only had 24 blacks. So they had 99 seats in the whole body there. And so it turned out only 74 Republicans voted to have her expelled. And so one person didn't know who it was. He or she voted, okay, not to expel the white lady. And what happened here? That means you got 2 black young men, by the way, who had just been seated in the House of Representatives there. I mean, just got elected, I should say, to the body. They already been expelled. Well, unfortunately, this was all on national TV. I mean, it was all on national TV, so like, and so that this is on a Thursday. This all took place. Well, well, then it turned out that, and with the laws in the state of in Tennessee, that each city of wherever you come from, your district you are in, that then they have to vote on your replacement. Well, as life would have it, in both cases, the House of the City Council in Nashville decided to renominate Mr. Justin Jones. So on a unanimous vote, okay, he was voted back in. And I said, wow, okay. And that was like it was on a Monday. And then on that Wednesday, and matter of fact, also what happened there, that he did a march down to the state capitol, where he was sworn at the door there, give his lapel pin back and his desk, name on his desk. And but in doing this, okay, there was in the background you can hear some being this was a lighter man with shine. Okay, they go way back on the rear. This was a lighter man with shine. Okay, as it turned out, Mr. Justin Jones' light, and I think the first light had shot the whole weekend in between Thursday and that Monday. Those two young black men had been the face of almost every talk show, every talk show host at midnight, every newscast around the world. They became they became rock stars, they call it. They're known all around the world, all about them. Well, and that was on the weekend. It was on all the Sunday shows, So the House of Representatives down in Memphis, Tennessee, kind of shared their light, on what was going on there, and it didn't like what they saw. And just as like we have the whole body there, and so by the speaker, and he got to make a decision. But as life we have it right now, the speaker right now of the House of Representatives there may soon find himself in big trouble, because as people already know, you can't you can't throw stones at other people. Well, they did some investigating, and they found out that although he is a speaker, and that he lives, but he does not live in his district. He lives, 100 some miles away from Nashville. And so, but that's not nothing, to get your kicked out there. But what may get him in trouble is that on his mileage report, okay, and they get a balance for every month, so they turn in the mileage report, how much they travel back to their district. Well, he lied on his mileage report. So then that's falsifying the document. So we'll see how that turns out. Now, that's in Nashville. Now, that's what it was until that comes the next Wednesday, this past week. Well, in the case there, Mr. Pearson, Justin Pearson, who was also expelled, well, in Memphis, Tennessee, that's where he lives at. Guess what? Under unanimous vote. And he was right back, in the House of Representatives there. And this all took place, in less than a week, But we say again, injustice, is not something that's going to go away. But what has happened here, this is sort of a movement, for lack of a better description, against firearms. This is what this is all about mass shootings taking place. Well, that wasn't the week before, okay? Well, this past this week, okay? This past Monday also, we had another shooting, this time in Nashville, in Louisville, Kentucky. Now, this was the 15th mass killing. 15, and this is only April 15th. And that we have a mass killing. This case took place, at a bank in downtown Nashville. I don't know if it's Nashville, Louisville, Kentucky. And in this case, 5 people were killed. And that's kind of a bad thing for this. 5 Louisville bank employees, people who were in that building, were killed. And one person that was shot in the head was a young police officer who had just joined the force. And he ran to what was going on there, along with him and his trainer, and they took down the killer. Now, the killer also worked in the bank. And, so we knew everybody that was there that day on that Monday. And so that's how that week started. And so now this is one of those things that don't happen, all the time, but 15-man shooting. And in this case, gun violence, there's nothing being talked about in our Congress, that's going to take care of that. But one thing that's taking place here, the new movement is, that these young kids, you have heard Cheyenne talk about this all the time, that she's in grade school, in high school, even in college, that when they went to school every day, they would have to have some kind of drills, about how not to get shot if some guy came in. How do I get out of my classroom safely? And these kids are tired of that. And so down in Memphis and Nashville and Tennessee, those young people are always somewhat, I want to do the old folk, but they say we tired of being afraid of these men weather destruction. And that our representatives in the House here, in the Senate here, are not doing anything about it. So they said, as soon as we turn 18 years of age, guess what? We're going to kick you out of here. And also, not only is it seems to be a thing about with young people, and almost in every state in our country right now, you have some kind of situation going on, where young people, are being attacked. It's not saying being attacked, the rules are being changed that are affecting them. And in most cases, these rules have been around for the longest. And in most cases, you have a lot of not old Republican men in these bodies. You got a lot of young in the state of Missouri. Those are a lot that goes in, a young men, young ladies, but for some reason there seems to be an attack. First he was attacking the kids on the libraries. Then they were attacking them about going to school with face masks. And so right now, it seems to be that the young people are the easiest target, or they can't vote. And so they right now decided, we ain't gonna take it no more. It was a movie I talked about years ago. I ain't gonna take it no more. And so they seem to have galvanized a plan. They want to be able, to do something about what's been going on. And also, this past week, on Wednesday, since the other week, we got a press release from the National Chamber of Commerce, from Mr. Chucky Bowwood, our CEO. Now, this is some great good news, for Black businesses. National Chamber of Commerce participated in Kenya and India. These are two countries right now. India is in Africa, and India is one of the largest countries in the world, with population-wise and mass side. But anyway, the Black Chamber of Commerce participated in Kenya, and also in India, through trade mission. And the cool thing about this, they did these things both simultaneously. And they conducted two global trade missions simultaneously between August and March of 27th, April 1st. The United States Department of Commerce International Trade Administration executive head verified trade mission to Nairobi in Kenya, and led by Kenya, and that was led by Senior Secretary Donald Craven. Was dealing the honor of the presence was requested to come to New Delhi by the India, the Asian African Chamber of Commerce and Industry in their G21 in the India National Conference. And by the way, in the Kenya trade, in Kenya, Chucky Bowl was handling the business down there. Then in India, International Committee was able to do that. And the good part about this, we came away with two trade agreements with both these countries simultaneously. And that was just getting the week started also. Then also this past week, Fox News has they had a bad week also, as a lawsuit about the Dominion voting system. Did you recall during the 2020 elections that Fox News still broadcast, that Donald Trump, had won the election, and anybody knew that it wasn't true, but one thing they did, they accused the Dominion voting system of, doing illegal stuff. Well, I mean, their reputation was the defamation of character. So right now, you can't do that. So now there's a $1.6 million lawsuit being filed against them, and they have filed all types of suits to try to stop this from taking place. But starting next Monday in Delaware, this case goes to court. And I said they had a bad week this past week, okay? The judge found out that they had been hiding information from the judge. And, years ago, there's a guy named Phil Wilson become the judge, but the judge was kind of upset about that. And so now this all comes to a head starting on Monday, where the CEO of the company, Mr. Murdoch, and all the top executives down to the mayor will be testifying under oath. And that's not a good thing for you sometimes. And also, this past week, I think it was on Thursday, in Indianapolis, the National Rifle Association, or the NRA convention started this week with over 14 acres of the latest guns and gear of the most popular companies in the country. Now, what this means is that NRA if you over to Congress, if you want to get a signal anywhere that politics at, well, and you're gonna make your way to Indianapolis, you want to go before them and ask them for some money. And if you're a politician, in the Republican camp right now, you want to make sure that you get their endorsement. Because a lot of times, we may represent our representatives in your own district, and you vote for them, okay, but when they get to their seat, they do what the NRA says. Matter of fact, you have policy or this past week already. They just got started President Trump and Vice President Biden, Biden and Vice President Pence. They both already spoke. They both spoke yesterday. So this is going to be a very, very interesting situation there. And also, we can look at the kind of people to the next week a little bit here. This week is out here. It's not over yet. A Massachusetts National Guard member was arrested Thursday in connection with the disclosure of highly classified military documents about the Ukraine war and other top national secrets information. Now, you're not aware, this stuff was put out on the internet, and it's been out there for a little while. And what people don't understand, if you go on the internet, they're going to find you. So you're going to leave, they call it digital footprint. And that's when you're log on, that's when you're in your office, from your home, or your computer. They're going to find you. And so they trace this young man in Massachusetts, and here's a 21-year-old man, 21 years old, that had access to top secrets. Now, what this does, it puts the United States in a very bad light. It kind of shows America's inability, I should say, they got this most sensitive information document in the war ready in Ukraine. And that's not a good thing. And you thought the week may be over, okay, but United States Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, okay, Justice Thomas, okay, with talking about his travels, what they can see in there. Well, just this past yesterday came out that Justice Thomas, I should say, had got involved with a real estate deal. And that's over $140,000. Now, any federal judge, okay, they have to fill out a form that asking you if you had made any money, the any real estate transaction, any over $1,000. Well, this is over $1,000. And so far, the Supreme Court has been under fire time and time again. And as I was saying earlier, in Missouri, we not we're at ourselves, in our fair state. This past week, I was in Texas, the House and the Senate here. This is something that's been a very big thing around, but also transgender care for kids. Again, kids have been picked on again because they can't vote their thing. And so right now, we have competing proposals in the state of Missouri for gender care for the kids. And now, all of this going on, they're going to be fighting about taking benefits from these kids. And also in St. Louis County, in St. Louis, Missouri, especially St. Louis County right now, we got correction officers, I should say. The prisoners feel they're unsafe. In the Justice Center, they have a lack of officials. And also, needless to say, there's always some concern that somebody's maybe just someone else. Somebody in St. Louis City and St. Louis County, carjackings and murders continue to increase. You wouldn't know that. So anyway, you listen to Ferguson USA, HotTarget.com. Luncheon to let you on race. My name's Alan, folks. We take a small break. We'll be right back. Now take us out of here. Good afternoon, St. Louis, Missouri, and I guess lots of Kevin Cummers can be heard on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and also all of our broadcasts can be heard on Spotify. And also this program will be broadcast tomorrow at 1 o'clock. It's entirely also on Wednesday, so we want to thank you for listening to us. And we can be found again on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. They put in lunch with the Missouri Kevin Cummers. Well, one of my favorite times of the month is when we come down to the third Saturday of the month. That's when we have Miss Diane Hubbard, our Zoomer. Diane, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I am blessed. Life is good. As Scott would say, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. How you say it, Scott?
Too blessed to be distressed.
To be distressed, okay? Okay. Well, we gotta miss you, okay? And but China is back since she had some tonsil problems. She had some issues, okay? And also she been traveling with the family. But right now, tell us what's going on in the Zoomer world.
I mean, what's going on is there's so much going on in our country. As a young person, you really can't ignore what's going on. One of the things that has been a really hot topic is the conversation of banning TikTok. And TikTok, for those who do not know, is a social media app that I think 150 million Americans use.
150, you're right. Over.
Yeah, it's a giant app. And the issue is that our government said they want to ban it for, security reasons, but they never offered any type of real good issues to block the app.
But you know something, Cheyenne, what I don't understand, We just had a young man, 21 years old, was like he was on a card, this app he was on, and he stole federal U.S. government secrets, okay? He's not talking about banning that app, so why did he take it on TikTok?
I think it's rooted in, xenophobia. Truly.
Okay.
Because, just today, I have discovered that, Facebook is in a class action lawsuit for data leaks. And if you ever had a Facebook between 2007 and 2022, you can join this class action lawsuit, basically, and sign up for it. Because it turns out, Facebook has, throughout the years, has so many data leaks. It's ridiculous. But they won't ban Facebook. They definitely won't ban, Discord after this man was leaking.
Or Twitter.
Or Twitter, either. And it's so crazy because this man was leaking, records. Secret records, right?
Top secret records.
On Discord, on this Discord app, right? In this little server. So basically a server is, let's say you're in a neighborhood, right? And there's all these bunch of houses. Someone invites you into a house. That's basically a server. A house is a server in the neighborhood, basically.
Thank you. Education.
Yeah, so this man was leaking this information on a server about a child's game, by the way, named Minecraft. And I was like, wow, this is really ridiculous. Because it also makes you think, he's probably not the first person to do this either.
No, but he unfortunately, he got caught. And also, Shan, one of the things, it seemed to be that, as I was talking earlier before you guys came on, that it seemed to be that the young people, okay, are under attack around in our government, okay, in that most states, states, I should say, in those cities, okay, you have young people who are all being attacked. First of all, with education, and now I think one issue that you've been talking about for years and years and years. There's a gun that's been used in the high school. Well, thank God right now you get out of high school, that into the faith, and also you graduated cum laude from you went into a camp, so right now you can look back and say about how you felt during the time.
Oh, honestly, yeah, I feel like this country does not care about children. Because, I remember thinking this right after. I was about 12 years old when Sandy Hook happened. And I was like, oh, maybe something will get done. And Sandy Hook was a decade ago, a whole decade. And we're still having the same issues. And, nowadays, instead of focusing on, real issues, now they're attacking, transgender children. And there's and making up lies about these kids, which will, someone's going to hurt some of these children eventually because people are just really crazy nowadays.
Well, no, he was very, the legislature, okay, is taking away the benefits, the benefits, okay, for these young kids.
Yeah, healthcare, which is really ridiculous. That is so ridiculous to me, and it's just a shame how they're doing these people. Because another thing they really don't care about is education. Because at least where I live, right, they defunded schools so badly. We didn't even know if we were going to start school on time that year because we didn't have enough funding.
When you need such a hand, it all comes down to the legislators, okay? And so this down in the state of Tennessee, the House Representative, who is also the president, so most of the budget. There was demonstration in Nashville over a Covenant School, which is a white school down there, that private school, I should say. That three young people at 9 years old were killed. And there was demonstration led by a white young lady, and two blacks who had to be represented. It was just their jobs to protest. This is the kids, okay? What they trying to say? And so they found somebody, okay, they'll listen to them. They'll listen to them. It could make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, we're gonna bring our guest in here for you. That we have Ron Wynn, who's from Nashville, and he was a guest this past week on our other show that we do at 5 o'clock. Just come to Kansas City, and Mr. Wynn was able to give us a first hand. Well, first of all, Ron, tell people about Ron Wynn, who you are, and so first of all, the band.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me back on your show. My position is I am the entertainment and sports editor for Tennessee Tribune, which is the largest black-owned newspaper in the state of Tennessee. And I'm also a commentator, and I do some radio stuff. So I follow a lot of the issues. Now, to get specifically to what you're speaking about, the legislature of Tennessee has become, in the last 2 weeks, a national joke, because what they did was they tried to expel 3 members, and they ended up expelling the two youngest black members of the legislature. They expelled, and they did not expel a third member, which is a 60-year-old white woman who had joined the 2 young black men in joining with demonstrators on the floor of the legislature. And the reason that they did that is because in committee, the young legislators attempted to try and bring up legislation and bills for gun control, and they cut their mics off. They silenced them. They wouldn't give them any opportunity to present legislation in committee. They wouldn't listen to them in the debates. So after 7 people...
So Ron, they were trying to bring us some bills, okay? They were supporting these young people being killed, in Tennessee.
Right. So after a former
they became a voice, I should say.
That's correct. Yeah. So after this former student went to Coventry School, which is a white Christian fundamentalist private school now, it was a former student went into the school with assault weapons and handguns. She had 3 guns, 2 of which she bought legally, and killed 3 9-year-old children and 3 adults. Then, a few days after that happened, there was a demonstration down at the Capitol, and these 3 legislators joined the demonstrators, and the Republican-led state legislature was ignoring the demonstrators. I mean, they walked right past them, didn't even acknowledge them. So these legislators brought the demonstrators into the Capitol building, put them onto the floor of the House. 2 of them got bullhorns, and they just spoke to the legislators and said, you need to listen to these demonstrators. So that was considered a breach of decorum by the Republican legislators. And so their response to that was to formally put a motion on the floor to expel all 3 of these representatives. And they did expel 2 of them. But the 2 they expelled were promptly returned to their seats. Nashville, the city council, returned Justin Jones to his seat. And in Memphis, the Shelby County Commission returned Justin Pearson to his seat. And in both cases, they were unanimous votes. So both of the legislators are back in their seats now. And all that the state Republicans have done is turn these people into national figures for gun control and make them national heroes. And also just shown how unresponsive they are to the voices of thousands of people who've been urging them to do something about gun violence in the state.
Cheyenne, right now, okay, what are your thoughts about what Ron just said?
Watching what happened in Tennessee is just, was just disgusting to me. For them to expel these 2 black men for, listening to the people who voted them in, right? for bringing up issues that affected their affected thousands of people in Tennessee. And I shouldn't say that I was shocked that they didn't expel the white woman, but after all, after a while, I was like, not really shocking, given the fact of what just history, right? What's been going on and
okay. So, what's his thoughts about that also?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that because yesterday there was leaked audio of a secret meeting that the Republicans held right after they took the original vote. And some of them were shocked too because they had all agreed prior to the vote to expel all three. And then one of their members changed his vote, and that change was the one vote that enabled her to not stay in. And so they were excoriating this one Republican and saying, this makes us look like racist, this makes us look unfair, et cetera. So that got leaked out and was actually aired on the news yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, a website got a hold of that, and that somebody in the Republican legislature leaked that to a website, and it's been heard all over the state now. So that shows you that even the Republicans themselves were surprised that, and they realized how that makes them look to expel the two youngest black legislators and not expel a white woman who did the same thing they did.
Well, I did not hear that yet. And that is very crazy.
Well, Shannon, let me ask you a question. As a young person, okay, how does that make you feel, okay, that senior being a backroom meeting plan, okay, just to kind of silence the young people, and that's at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
I think what's happening is that let me ask one question. Does the Republicans in Tennessee have like a supermajority already?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. In both houses, yes.
In both houses, okay. So them basically expelling these people, right? To me, it seems as an unnecessary thing, right? It just seems like a power control trip happening. And, I think the people with the supermajority are a little scared of the younger generation. What's going to happen in the future. Because these people in the younger generation are not going to take up and go along with what's been happening for decades now.
Well, yeah, well, when you look at who's in the Republican super majority in Tennessee, it's all old white men. Okay.
Yeah.
That's who it is. I mean, somebody commented that, the Tennessee Republican delegation looks like something from 1928 because there's no diversity at all. I mean, zero. So that's who voted these two young black men to vote to expel these two young black men. And I commend both the City Council of Nashville and the Shelby County Commission for putting them both back in as quickly as they did. I mean, the Shelby County Commission took 1 minute for them to vote to put them back in, and it took less than 10 minutes for the City Council to put Justin Jones back in.
Okay.
So that's how quickly the votes went in both of those cases. So both cities just, and I guess a bigger story is that the state legislature has been at war with both Nashville and Memphis for the last couple of years and has done a lot of things to try to hurt both of them, including they tried to reduce the city council of Nashville from 40 to 20 because it's the most diverse city council that Nashville's ever had in the history of the city. So that's the city council has sued state legislature, and that suit is in court now.
Yeah, you know, from all what you have told, I can tell that these people, the older people, right, and the older white guys in power are pretty, you know, worried what's going to happen in the next, I don't know, 10 years. For them to be acting like that, for them to try to even cut down on their city council as well, just shows how they want to micromanage everything.
Yeah, and they gerrymandered the most recent map and redrew the districts, which essentially cost Nashville a member in Congress. So they're doing a lot of things that show you that they want to take the state backwards. I mean, that's the bottom line. Is they're taking the state backwards.
Yeah, and you can see this happening across the. Personally, I think the whole country is that people want to go backwards in a lot of stuff. You see what's happening in Florida, whatever the laws that Ron DeSantis is passing, a lot of them are really bad. And they're seen outdated. What's happening in my local state right now is, you know, I think they're trying to go backwards as well. And just from what I can see from watching the news, like these laws that are getting passed is kind of crazy. Them attacking, you know, like abortion laws and them trying to pass like a 6-week abortion ban when most people don't even know at all. At 6 weeks, it's just it's a little scary, I say.
Shannon, let me ask you a question, okay? And also, Ron, and I give you your opinions, okay? So you always by writing down. I know in the you mentioned the Sandy Hook situation down in Florida. And this past election last year for the general election, the Florida elected, a Zoomer, okay, for lack of better description, the House of Representatives, and he also was a young man, okay, that came out of Florida that was affected by the gun, the mass shooting that took place down there. So my question is, okay, the last election, we also saw that the abortion issue was a very hot issue that changed the whole face, okay, of the electorate that voted for the Democratic against Republican. And it seems like now the two issues, okay, that Republicans have made a main issue right now. The NRA has this convention right now in Indianapolis, and that will it be true to say that gun control, gun rights will be a hot issue this time around, along with abortion? Chad, you go first.
Oh, 100%. Because I can't tell you how many people that have been affected by it, like just the gun issue. Just, you know, from what I can see growing up, we had to go do them school shooting drills like clockwise. Like every couple of months there'd be a school shooting drill. And so after a while, I can distinctly remember thinking about every time I went to school to have an exit, no matter what happens. In any type of classroom I sit down, I think of an exit just in case someone just wants to shoot up the place. And so, yeah, across the country, they're doing these school shooting drills. And I know I'm not alone about thinking about these little exits, okay? And also the abortion issue is going to be a really, really hot topic in the next election, because in my state of Kansas, we voted to keep it in our, to keep abortion access as a law, which shocked a lot of people across the country. Like, wow. And it passed like 60% of the people in Kansas wanted to keep it, which is a huge amount of people. It's won by a landslide.
Okay, Ron, what are your thoughts?
Well, I agree with that. I think one of the things that is going to be very interesting is the Republican Party is essentially making white backlash. That's the cornerstone of their strategic approach in the next election.
You said white backlash. What do you mean by that? I mean, it means as a newspaper.
Well, I'm talking about, okay, all right, things like anti-affirmative action, anti-critical race theory, and then anti-transgender, anti-LGBTQ. All of these things are part of white backlash, okay? And now, today in Nashville, Trump is here today. Pence is here today. They're having a Republican donor meeting here in town. And both Trump and Pence are making stump speeches. And they're urging their supporters, if you want your gun rights protected, to donate X amount of dollars. So Ron DeSantis, his whole thing in Florida. Now he masked it. He uses code words, and he uses if you don't know the language, it's subtle. It's not subtle to me, but he uses language in which it's very apparent who he's targeting and what his strategy is. So yeah, when I say white backlash, yes, that's what I mean by white backlash.
Yeah, they're playing with people's fears, right, to gain votes. And I can see it happening all across the country. And when you listen to some of these people talk, you hear these little code words. I call them dog whistles, I think. Is it term for it? Yeah, when you learn the words, it's like, that's what they're talking about. Because after you start paying attention, it's like, okay, this is what's going to happen. You're playing with people's fears to get money, votes, and to push a really nasty agenda that's going to affect multiple people.
Yeah, you were talking earlier about the guy who leaked those documents. Marjorie Taylor Greene today called him a white male Christian. That's how she defends the guy. She said, he's a white male Christian. I mean, that's how she was quoted. That's not me making that up. That's a direct quote from Marjorie Taylor Greene today. So since he's a white male Christian, it's okay for him to leak national secrets online, according to her.
Yeah, and you see, whenever they have like any type of like, I can remember when they have like the mass shootings happening, and how they describe certain people, and it's like, he was he struggled with mental illness. He's a good Christian white boy. I was like, but he shot up like bunches of people, and you can see this through the news cycle like clockwork all the time, unless it's someone who doesn't like, let's say for example, it's someone else who wasn't a white male who shot up something, right? They would use their mug shots, they would call them all types of words, thugs, degenerates, all this type of words, right? Hey, I noticed this, just watching the news, and also I have a journalist degree.
Yeah.
And you can see it when it happens, and it's a shame.
Well, I guess one of the things, that some years ago, I think the last 5 years ago, the census tracts and the enrollments in our country, kindergarten and first grade, not a poll, but the counts show that the whites, in general, will be in a minority. So is this, you think, a fight for power, with the whites? Because when you think about this, in a couple of years, they're going to be in a minority of their own selves. And so you would think they will have a better attitude.
Oh no, that's a big part of it. If you listen to or read any of the speeches that Trump has made in the last few weeks, he's continually going back to this thing of demographics. Okay, they ultimately go back to demographics, and they're pushing this thing. That's part of the whole anti-immigrant strategy. I've never heard anybody say, well, we're letting too many Polish immigrants in, we're letting too many Irish immigrants in, we're letting too many Italian immigrants in. I've never seen that or heard that anywhere. But yeah, we're letting too many Mexicans in. We make it harder for Haitians to get in than we do for any other immigrant groups. So these are the things that you see and you hear that's part of that whole thing of trying to stem the demographic tide.
Yeah, and if you ever go on just social media, right, they always talk about how they're scared to get replaced. And it's a big...
Oh, yeah, Tucker Carlson has a whole... Yeah. That's his whole thing.
Yeah, it's called, like, the white replacement theory, I think. Yeah. And it's rooted in white supremacy. It's really... And it's crazy to see this just on, like, TV, of them just talking about this so blatantly.
Well, let me ask you a question, okay? And this is for both of you guys, especially for you, Shane. In the last 3 years, I would say, okay, most of your newscasters, in the last 10 years, I would say, were all white males. When they did your news, on the cable networks, in your local, on the NBC, CBS, ABC, news out there. And now you went to all those stations, either they are female, like in case CBS News, they have a white lady doing that. And on NBC, okay, you have that's who's a black man, who's the person doing that at 5 o'clock, 5:30, what you want to call it. And likewise on all the cable stations now, you see women of color and also young females, okay, being dominant, okay, the face you see on TV now. What do you talk about that? Is that maybe something added to that? As every addiction, female, okay, they'll see a white face again?
Oh, me? I think it's, with all, there's more diversity, showing up on TV across, everywhere, because there's more diverse people in our country nowadays. Right. And they want to be represented one way or another. And you can see some people saying this is all forced, this is unnecessary, because it's like, back in my day, we didn't have all this stuff. And I definitely think politicians play on this fear by saying, look at what they're doing and forcing you to see.
Well, I'm sorry, you also, what's your thought?
Well, I say that diversity is tied in, as far as diversity in media. When I started out back in the late 70s, I mean, you didn't see anything but white men on television and in newspapers. But I think a lot of it is tied into money. Okay.
Okay.
The demographics of the country keep changing, and there are more markets out there. And these corporations that own the media, they want to make money. Okay. It's not that they're all that interested in social justice, but they can count. Okay, and they see that increasingly that there's more people of color and there's more young people, and those are markets that historically they've not tapped out yet. I mean, to be just blunt, the white male market's been pretty tapped out as far as advertising goes, but there's still lots of money to be made in black communities and Latino communities and Asian communities. There's lots more money to be made among women. So that to me is probably the reason that you're seeing that much more so than anything else. I can tell you that the people who run these corporations, it's not that they're all that progressive, but they want to make money.
Mm-hmm. And see, I'm only 22, right? And so growing up, I didn't see just only white men. because, when I started watching news, I was like 10, really.
Mm-hmm.
Because before then, my mom thought it was a bad influence to watch all this negativity. I might have been 10 or 12, right? So I didn't grow up with just seeing white men. It was like a little sprinkle of some other groups in there. But over the years, it has definitely, increased. But I agree with what he was saying. It's more about money as well. Because truly, advertisement is rooted in money. Especially, I think it really uptaked after the 2020 as well.
Mm-hmm.
After the George Floyd incident, and they were trying to push all this blackness out. It is definitely rooted in money, because after a while they stopped caring. It was like, okay, who cares about you all again? And nothing really got changed after that whole incident either.
How did the pandemic affect the change also? Well, we just talked about that.
The pandemic, I think people were more aware of stuff because they were forced to sit down for the first time. There are a lot of incidents and look at stuff where they wouldn't pay attention before.
Okay. And Ron, with your thoughts?
Well, I think one thing that the pandemic has done is, as far as just commerce, is a lot of things were negatively affected. For instance, a bunch of restaurants were hurt because people couldn't go to them. So a lot of these places haven't reopened. Okay, so that the labor market has had an impact because of the pandemic. Now, in terms of the issues that we're talking about, there was a period of time when you didn't see the kind of demonstrations that you're seeing now because people were afraid to congregate together. So now that the pandemic has passed, you're starting to see these major demonstrations again. Like in the last 2 weeks here in Nashville, there's been like 5 enormous demonstrations.
Oh, wow.
People marching through from the courthouse to the legislature, massing on the Capitol steps. We've had people come in from all over the country, and that's it. Thanks again to the Republican state legislature putting these people out and turning them into national heroes. So I think that now that we're coming out of the pandemic, I think you're seeing a surge in activism again that you weren't seeing because people were literally afraid to assemble in crowds during the height of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a thing. When you cancel money makers like the NCAA basketball tournament because of COVID, and you have the NBA playoffs in a bubble, that shows you just how much fear there was during the pandemic, and that fear is gone now. People are back out in the streets again.
Yeah, and another thing, we're talking about the pandemic, that a lot of companies are working from home, and that has, my wife is real estate and so was Scott. Now you can go this, a lot of office space, a lot of offices, okay, they had hundreds and hundreds of people. And restaurants, it's also that depend on those office, or the lunches, come in on their lunch hour, happy hour. All that went away during the pandemic.
Yeah, and some of it didn't. Not all of it came back. And there are people who don't want to go back and work in an office. Okay. They found out they can work just as effectively from home, and they rather stay home and work.
They don't have to worry about mass shooting.
See, I work from home most of the time. And you know what? I really enjoy it. It is fantastic. I don't have to waste gas money to go travel anywhere. I'm not really micromanaged as hard as working in an office. And I can get my work done at home just as good.
And the other thing is these restaurants, some of these places that don't want to pay people a living wage.
No, they don't.
They're finding out that, okay, if I'm not going to make a living wage, why should I come back in there anyway? Okay, I'll find something I can do at home, or I'll find a job that pays me enough money to live. But I'm not going to knock myself out for minimum wage or less. And that's why a lot of these restaurants, unfortunately, have had to close, because people won't go back to work in them now.
Yeah, because, one of the issues that a lot of people just don't, know or think about is that the restaurants are paying these people sub-minimum wage, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And below. And, minimum wage here is, I think, in Kansas, is $7. You can't live off of that. You can't live off of that anymore because due to, inflation and, price gouging certain, areas, people can't live off of that unless, working 2-3 jobs and wasting their lives just to survive.
And you still got to pay taxes.
Yeah, you got to still pay taxes, and it's just not worth it when you can go find a job somewhere else that can pay you way better. And it's just, I can see why the restaurant industry is not doing as good, and they're going to have to, update and pay people a livable wage so they can survive.
You mentioned restaurant. I remember a couple weeks ago, my wife's birthday, we went out. They have a lunch at time, and on the menu that my brother-in-law was on the back of the menu, on the last item there, they had some small writing that gratuity now, okay, is automatic put into the price, okay. The food in those days, they depend on the tips now. So now, the tips are already included in the price.
Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. We all looked, oh my God, matter of fact, we were all getting ready to put some money on the table for a tip, right? Because the rest of the waiter was very, very, very courteous, very, timely. We should give him some money, okay? But we know that money always probably to food, okay? And that probably got did it up amongst all the employees. That probably wasn't fair.
And see, another thing that I've been seeing happening, just across the country, is that people are starting to form unions again.
Yes.
Which to me,
I'm a union member.
which is a great thing to me, because I think I started noticing they formed a union at the local Starbucks I was working at. Not working at, I visited at it. And I was like, oh, good for them, because these corporations are taking advantage of people way too much. People are tired.
You're seeing how much the CEOs are making unbelievable money, and the corporations are making unbelievable profits, and the workers, okay, in the warehouse doing the work, okay, the janitors doing the work and stuff, they're not getting any of the money.
No.
I'm an organizer. I've been organized, a couple times, my life. I'm a man. I'm electrician, ABW. And one of the things, okay, I tell people, that you need to have somebody to speak up for you. We all say one thing in common here. The young kids have nobody speak up for them. It's just right now, there are these 3 individuals down in your state, Ron. They found somebody, okay, that would listen to them, okay, and it seems as though they were trying to penalize those 3 people, okay, to listen to the young people. That's the way it came across to me.
Oh, no question. I mean, they don't want to be perceived that way, but there's no question that the fact that these were 2 young black men who've only been in the legislature for a matter of weeks, okay? And there were all kinds of other measures that they could have taken. And it has backfired on them so badly that they've even gotten criticism from across the country from other Republicans who were saying, hey, that was unnecessary, You could have censored them. You could have just publicly criticized them. There's all kinds of things you could have done. But by choosing to expel them, you made them heroes. You made them role models. You made them spokespersons. And they are now enormously popular. I mean, every major newspaper in the country has been in Nashville in the last week talking to Justin Jones and Justin Pearson. Every network covered the city council hearing. Justin Jones was on PBS right after he was reinstated. I mean, people know who these two young men are now. Thank you, Tennessee Red Republicans.
Yeah, and it just highlights issues that they probably just wanted to keep hidden, right?
Well, it actually, the governor, who has been a long-time gun rights guy, reversed his field this week and came out with an executive order mandating 72-hour reporting for background checks. And that is a complete and total reversal of position from what he ran on and from what he said as recently as last year. So that's how successful all of this has been in terms of bringing the issue of gun violence to the forefront. So.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
But he wants to be re-elected for one thing, okay? And right now, like, with the young people, take up the gun rights issue. Like I said, for the first time, since the same news took place, that the young man from Florida, was elected, and he's a gun rights person right now saying, hey, I'm gonna put my vote to work here, and that's what he did, and I've seen young ladies, white young ladies, and different nationalities all say the same thing now. People saying we are against this, and nobody want to listen to us. And these three individuals, listen to us, and they make examples out of them, saying, if somebody else want to do this, and we're gonna make sure that you're gonna pay the price. It's a price for it.
And see, this what's happening right now actually gives me, hope that stuff's going to change. Because throughout, my whole entire life, it has been pretty much stagnant, I say, with certain issues. And I was like, okay. And then rapidly it went downhill, like in, I don't know, whatever has been happening in the Supreme Court. Whenever, it's been rapidly going downhill. What was that guy who got in? I can't remember his name, but the last person who was voted into Supreme Court, the second to last.
Yeah, he was the one that had issues with female IQ. Wasn't that Kavanaugh? Kavanaugh,
I think, yeah. And it's rapidly have been, going downhill, but seeing the younger generation getting more active in politics, getting more active in getting their voice heard, and, protesting more, I think a change is going to happen.
Okay, right now, we've been joined by our illustrious leader of the National Congress, Executive Board, CEO. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing wonderful. Good afternoon, everybody.
Okay, we got Cheyenne. That your boy Cheyenne is back on the list today, the third week in the month. And we got another guest, Mr. Ron Wynn. Okay, and Ron is from Nashville, Tennessee, where he's a reporter for the largest black newspaper in the state of Tennessee. And he's our guest today also. And we've been talking primarily, Chuck, about the trend, the changes, but right now, the young people, black people, all nationalities right now, are coming out against gun control, coming out for gun control, and also for abortion. But now, as you travel the world, Chuck, do you see any like these issues like this as you travel the world, with gun issues like this in other countries?
I have to stop and think a minute and just to say that, before I say I haven't seen it anywhere, I wanted to stop, give it a thought, and make sure. But and you can kind of pick up on it because I saw a clip where Kamala Harris was in Ghana, and she started talking about gay rights or something like that, or human rights, and it was somehow referencing gay rights, and they cut her off and said, "No, we don't have any problem here. We're working on some legislation, but it's nothing. It's nothing to be talked about." And I haven't heard the abortion thing coming anywhere, but you know, if you really want to get to it, you know, in terms of, we all have, you know, as a people, as a country, and people of that country, and we'll just say Americans, and that means everybody and anybody, and this, that, and the other. Everybody got an opinion, but when you really get into it, it's like, how much of it is like real opinion, and how much of it is political driven? You know, the whole abortion issue is I mean, I don't even know if we really need to even talk about it, because we're all probably on a similar disposition in that. It seems to be now, you know, you could debate it, but it seems to be a white man thing. You know, and I said it. Yeah, I had to say it like that. You know, because it's a lot of white babies being aborted, and they're worried about population control. You know, so you could go into that, but then you have to go to, okay, throw that out. Sorry, I even brought it up, but why do we need to go back now after how many years? You know, that we've been living with it a certain way, and it really wasn't on our radar.
No, I think one of the things that's happening is that they want some form of issue to pick on, right? Because, like, what other issues is sort of, you know, popular to anyone below 40, right? Because some of their, like, one of the talking points I heard recently around here is that they want to have some sort of cut on Social Security, and that's unpopular to everyone, okay? And I think what's happening is they're trying to pick on certain demographics, right? So they can have like some sort of talking point.
She got an open mind about things. She good.
Yeah. But you know what? Another thing, you know, they can look over it right now over in France, where they were trying to raise the Social Security age from 62 to 64, and they are still having demonstrations all around the country.
Oh,
yeah,
no,
I know. So,
go on.
The France,
Sorry.
I think it's France.
Yes, it's France. Like, yes, it's definitely France, and right now it has evolved more than, you know, the retirement age into like issues that are just strictly, you know, what's happening in France culture. And like every couple of days I see something's on fire over there because they are so angry about this stuff, because again, they're raising the retirement age. You have people, and I don't think they grandfather anyone in who's working. So let's say you're like 60 right now, you're going to have to work like a couple years extra, even though you were about to retire, like, let's say in a week or so. Which is ridiculous.
So, Sugar, you travel, okay, you know, there are certain issues. But guns, okay, I think in our country is one of the things that's really, 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 we don't have guns like in St. Louis. You don't even need a permission to get your shotgun, AK-47, walk down the street, okay, in broad daylight downtown, and you can. There's no rules, so you can't do that. So if you're 18, 80 older, you can get it. Is that in other countries, Chuck?
I can't see it anywhere because they don't play that. You know, I mean, let's go to the places we think are wild, crazy. You know, you definitely can't do it in China. You definitely can't do it in North or South Korea. You can't do it in Russia. You know, Japan, guns are illegal. You can't own a gun. You know, and after World War II, I think we have ruled them right to the point, you know, the veterans, you couldn't even have a military. Right. You know, so this whole thing, here's where I say political, because it's really from the center of the NRA. I mean, it's almost like, come on now. It's silly. I don't know if it's silly or stupid or a joke or whatever you want to call it, but it's gotten to the point where, how many, the only way to really stop or figure this thing out is essentially we got too many guns. It's just too many guns out here. Everybody got them, and now even if you stopped it, put a moratorium on gun manufacturing, gun sales, you could put businesses out, but they're making them with these 3D printers. So it's a real issue, and I mean, here this week, was it this week? I mean, how many different types of shootings did we have this week?
There was one in Louisville, Kentucky, I think.
Yeah, the bank shooting.
The bank.
I think there were 7 this past week.
Oh, wow. And see, that's crazy. And I think would contribute to this issue a while back is, a lot of the politicians were getting donations from the NRA really heavily as well.
Well, to give you an illustration of just how widespread the problem is, when Governor Lee issued his executive order for the 72 hours to report the background checks, here in Nashville, the leader of one of the gun rights organizations gave a press conference in which he defended the rights of people with mental problems to get guns, and how he felt that was an unfair part of the background checks, because part of the new background check stipulation is that anyone who's got any previous report of any kind of mental illness or problem, domestic violence, anything like that, that has to be reported by the people who sell the guns. And gun rights organizations are opposed to that. So what they're basically saying is that we don't want anyone's right to buy a gun or anybody's access to a gun to limit it. Even if they're mentally ill, we don't want their rights to buy a gun limited. So that just shows you the degree to which guns are, in some people's minds, guns in America are, they consider that not just a constitutional right, they consider that a birthright.
But I'm asking all of us this question, though, James. Do we know any black gun dealers? Have you ever came across one?
I haven't.
Not legal.
Only the unlegal way, Aaron. That's the only way you're going to find blacks in it, but unlegal.
I've seen some unlegal ones, but not legal. No.
Right.
Okay.
It's unlegal. The white man rules that. He the one who brought out all these guns and stuff. He the one that came out with guns from the beginning.
Okay, Chuck, you travel more than most of us do. Have you come across
any gun control?
No, any dealers, black gun dealers?
No, I haven't. But I'm not looking for them. But I don't even know how you get a gun in another country. When I was in Kenya, it was like serious when you saw the security at the hotels in the downtown area. They carrying AK-47s. It's like no joke, but they've had issues in the past with the terrorist groups and all that, and so around the hotels, especially where Americans or Westerners are staying, they got heavy security. But the people, in general, they're still kind of like a argument kind of level. I mean, you could have a big thing there is a verbal disagreement. You don't have people fighting each other or knifing each other. It's certainly not shooting each other. I mean, we could go right now and look at gun violence around the world and study that. It's stark. It's stark. We are it. We're the kings. And I'm over the Middle East and places that really have no rule.
I tell you what we're gonna do today, Chuck, and for the guests today. We're gonna right now, Chuck, the early part of the show, okay? I gave a little explanation about the press conference about what I thought was an unbelievable accomplishment about the NASDAQ, your Congress and your leadership, where you create, where you, I think you created okay, but had two trade delegations going on in two different countries simultaneously. And I never heard that before. Can you talk about that, Chuck?
Yeah, and it isn't something. No, put it like this. Nobody in their right mind would ever have a reason to do something like that. Because you want to put your best resources behind, whatever you're going to do. But in this case, I was asked or invited to accompany the Undersecretary for the MBDA on a trade mission to Kenya. And, that's who we are, what we represent in terms of, for 30 years, National Black Chamber has been the only black business association that's really consistently out here trying to break through this ceiling to where we get garner any kind of support for African American businesses to do business with African businesses. And, historically it's always been way at the top. And so while we were doing that, this thing came up, and to be honest with you, I wasn't going to go. They hadn't convinced me that it was worth my time, because I've been to Kenya almost 10 times. And and I was really, I'm kind of upset that we handed out $1 billion checks to, I think it's either 44 or 54 countries this past December. But we gave them no criteria, no guideline. And when you do that, these guys put that check in their back pocket. You don't never hear about some particular project or whatever. And then USAID's been dumping out hundreds of millions all the time. But I'm talking to the people there, they're saying 60% of that money goes back to the U.S. via some corporation that's supposed to be doing, it's like, we're going to do you a favor and come build this for you and do that for you. And it's very similar to what the Chinese do. They don't use local people. They don't use local materials. And they build it, and they do what they want and say, okay, there you go, you got it. We out of here. And so when something breaks down, they got to figure out who could be trained to understand how to maintenance. So anyway, I'll make a long story short. That was Kenya, which turned out to be just tremendous, excellent. It was really good. But at the same time, we're invited. And this is how dynamic it was. We were invited by the Asian African Chamber to attend a technical exposition called SOFI. It's India's SOFI, and it's a technical, like CES kind of thing, Consumer Electronics Show, something like that. But they wanted us to go, and they were working on what I call the triangle offense, where it'd be India, Africa, and United States, with us representing the United States. And historically, blacks felt like they were told, don't even think about coming over here to India, because you ain't got a shot. You get nothing. But it just so happens that our partner there, which we had already had this relationship but had not signed the MOU with, is the DALIT, D-A-L-I-T, DALIT Chamber of Commerce, which are the black people of India. And they came to our conference in Peoria and said, listen, we've been following you guys for 50 years. And I was like, what do you mean? They said, no, our civil rights struggle is blueprinted off of your civil rights struggle. And now we know it's time for economic empowerment. And we want to partner with you and team with you. So they were having their G20 summit at the same time that all this other stuff was going on. So I was going to India. And I've never been to India. And then this other thing came up. So I said, we got to vote. We're not going to cry and say that we can't jump that high or figure it out with it like that. And so we went, and it was fantastic. And let me add one more thing. Let me add one more thing to that. I didn't know. I mean, I think everybody had heard or knew something about Martin Luther King going to India. And it just so happened they were celebrating I believe the gentleman's name is Dr. Abu Lakar, something like that is his name. And that's who Martin Luther King went to see, I think, in 1952. And they crafted part of the civil rights legislation, strategy on the principles of Mahatma Gandhi. So anyway, it had a whole lot of history to it, and a lot of meaningful stuff came out of it. So anyway, yeah, we did it, and it is historic.
Well, right now, Chuck, I want to commend you, okay? The National Chamber of Commerce, which was my Chamber of Commerce is, a few years ago, and we've been with them, again, since 2015, on April 1st, so we're not here. And Chuck, I would say in those years, I very much honored, our leaders, okay, that passed away, but you was calling it the point two, I think he was calling it. Well, we have gone to rocket speed, okay, so we can let people know that. And one of the things that you did last year, we had a relationship with the international business. They tell us about that, how it came about.
Say that again, tell you about the relationship with which one?
The International Business League.
Oh, the National Business League. The National Business League is the oldest black business association. It's older than the U.S. Chamber, and it's 123 years old. It was founded by Booker T. Washington himself, and they had kind of gone dormant for a while, and then they came back about 12 years ago, and we're sitting on a coalition to support black business. And I'm hearing the stuff going on, and there's about 4 black business organizations on it. And the gentleman that runs the National Business League, his name is Dr. Ken Harris. And he and I were saying, we think kind of similar. We got the same thing. I said, yeah. And the National Black Chamber of Commerce was founded upon the principles that Booker T. Washington teached and espoused. Booker T. is the founder. He created Tuskegee Institute. He created the theory and the philosophies on what makes a strong community in particular. And he was believing that there's a whole lot of strength in segregation, that we have to do business with each other. We've got to support each other and stop chasing after status quo or the white man's society to where we will never really be accepted and always be marginalized. But if we set that as our standards or as our measurement of success, we could never have success under somebody else's standards or terms or judgment. So that was the beginning and the core of it. Together, we had co-founded the National Alliance for Black Business. And if you do a little homework on it, there's the National Lawyers Association, National Bar Association, the National Medical Association, the National Accountants, the Black Nurses. All these entities were started by Booker T. Washington. And so we're bringing everybody back together, going back to core roots of our principles and
going back to school.
Yeah, we're going back to basics. We're not, all this rhetoric and like what we're talking about, gun control and abortion and all these other issues and things going on. We're going back to how are things at your house?
Gentlemen, it's about that time.
Okay, we have 5 minutes ago. Yeah, okay,
yes,
go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah, so there's a lot coming. We're having our first annual conference. Oh, and so I don't know, the third convener of the National Alliance for Black Business is the World Conference of Mayors, which is based in Tuskegee. And it's the black mayors globally. And so we had a conference with them in January down in Orlando, Florida. And lo and behold, they had all kind of people from Africa and South America, all around the world that are black mayors. And so we're getting our show together, our program. We're coming out with just new resources. We're not really trying to tell people what to do, but we are in fact saying, in particular the National Black Chamber of Commerce, we encourage exporting, importing, and everything around it. So we want to help you find market for your business in it. And it's just like going online on the internet. We don't know any fence posts. You know, it's like whatever you get on the other end of your connection on the internet, wherever they are. So I'm gonna leave it right there for now with that.
Okay, well, Chuck.
Okay, my brother in Christ. Amen.
Yes. Well, really, Chuck, I just want to know. I just want to tell you on the air, because I tell you all the time, that you've been doing a must be a hell of a job, like that. That's to put it okay. Bringing the black organizations together, and not fighting against each other. There's nothing we can't fight. We're nothing to fight about. Okay, there's nothing out there. Okay, we all in the same boat when you think about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So first of all, okay, now we got a couple minutes to go here. So right now, first of all, let me tell you, I want to thank all of our guests today. We have on the phone. This is Cheyenne. It was the 7th of the month. We have our Zoomers come on in Cheyenne. So today, your show has been one of the best we've had in a long time. That we got the young people talking about what was going on. We have Mr. Ron Wynn, who's the oldest black baby in Tennessee, who's a little older than you. And Ron, we want to thank you also for joining the family. And just tell us what's going on, okay, that we're not aware of. And especially, okay, what the effect of these two black leaders that came out, Cheyenne, with Zoomers, for like a relative system, when you said so. Cheyenne, you call it these two Zoomers that new leaders that said this can't come out in black people. Cheyenne, you still there? Or you get me on mute?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I said, what are you going to say? We've been this two young black men out, okay, we're leaders for the young generation now in the generation to come.
Well, I have hope for, I think they're millennials, I guess, but I have hope for these generations.
Okay, and Ron, we just want to thank you for joining us also. Ron, you haven't told us your age, okay, but you kind of a little older than Chad. How old are you?
Well, if I make it to April 26th, Scott, I'll be 71. So,
okay. Congratulations.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you. I'm one of those old folk who's still working. I'm still on the beat. So,
Okay. Well, we desperately need you. And matter of fact, Scott,
Yes, sir.
You one of the young people. You're the only people in the crowd. How old are you, Scott?
Oh, I'm only 60. I'm still a pup.
Let me check. How old are you, Chuck?
67.
Okay. Well, real out.
And let me tell you, I there was a time when I thought that was going to really be old, but now I get it, and I feel like, man, there's still so much to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we are. But anyway, you listen to Lunch with the Missouri Sheriff Commerce on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. We've been fortunate to have our international president of the National Chamber of Commerce, the Junkie Bowl. Mr. Ron Wynn from Nashville, one of the oldest black people in Tennessee, Northern black people in Tennessee, and also Ms. Cheyenne Hubbard, our Zoomer from Kansas City, Kansas, and also from Rip and for Scott. And I want to thank you for being a part of our team. He'll show again tomorrow from 1 to 3 live on Facebook and YouTube, and also again on Wednesday. So again, I want to thank you. My name is Our host, the host of Cricket, along with the team here. We thank you for making us a success. Thank you, last week, and have a beautiful weekend. Talk again next week. Y'all still be safe, life good, and love everybody. Thank you.
Amen.